my screen share up.
Hey, with only two people here, should we just invite everyone on the stage and have a discussion instead of a presentation?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then if more people join in, yeah. Or if you want to just move over to the
Hello
other one.
there. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a really good resource, a really good summary for just photography in general and composition. It's very long, so I'm not gonna go through all of it, but I'll link it for you guys. Um, this is gonna go over pretty much everything basic or like pretty much according to like laying out a photo, having an idea and then trying to capture it. Yeah, it's very important to just know at least the fundamentals. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, with anything, an instrument, a sport, you got to at least know the fundamentals, and that's what composition is with photography. So, pretty much, you want to follow like a flow, whether that's from dark to light, whether that's from a lot going on to like a little, filling out the whole frame with objects or with things that you want to appear in your photo. Um, so of course, like the shape's gonna matter. We're all pretty much gonna be on a monitor though. And then you got alignment. So you want to go for a more horizontal feel, vertical feel. It's mostly about like the theme or the mood you want to set. Um, you want to fill out the frame too. You don't want to have it zoomed out to where it's like, oh, you could have got closer. And we'll go over that when we're in game with the zoom tool. Storytelling, that's a little bit more advanced, but point of interest is most important. Like what is it that you want to photograph? Obviously something caught your attention or you are seeing something in the game that you want to capture because it looks good to you. So what is that thing? And then once you have that thing, you then want to try to frame it. Okay, where do I want to put it? I want it to be the main subject, stuff like that. So that's the main thing when you go about taking a screenshot is I'm gonna take a screenshot of that thing right there, that planet, that gas giant, that nebula, whatever. Um, Negative space or breathing space is what they say, is just filling out the image. I mean, it's really not that important. You really can't tell the difference. I mean, yeah, this one's more full. Um, I don't really think about that too much. Um, Corners, no. Simplify, no. Balance, yeah, balance. So with us taking shots on bodies and like with the sun bright right here with the atmosphere in the background, usually you see. This is typically a common photo. So what he's saying is that you want to have a bright area on one side and then another bright area on the other to kind of balance it out. So if this was cut off like right here, it kind of wouldn't be as balanced. Your attention will be focused mainly towards this and that only. Whereas having this in there is kind of bringing your attention to all the photo. And this is a really useful thing. Balancing multiple things on the screen. So you'll see how it says balance and unbalanced. So this one's perfectly centered, a little off center. This one's off center, but they're diagonal. This is centered, but he considers it unbalanced because it's not on the middle. So this is kind of like personal preference, I'd say, but it's a good tool to follow. Um, no, no. Yeah, again with the scenery shots, if you're on a surface with the sun in the background, you kind of want to balance things out and have kind of break it up into like three parts. And three parts goes into the golden ratio with the rule of thirds. We'll touch on that in a little bit. Leading lines you don't really use. You don't really use. Okay, this diagonals. So this is a really good tool or way to get an idea of how you're going to lay out a photo. There's many different shapes or types of these that you can use. Rule of thirds, golden ratio, these diagonal lines, but pretty much it's just giving you a layout for your image. You want to have certain things in certain parts of the image or on certain lines because these lines are going to draw the viewer's attention um, to it. So if it's along these lines or following the pattern per se, it's gonna let the viewer's eyes flow more naturally. Um, that's just storytelling if you're doing like shutter shots. Here you go, rule of thirds. This is probably the best one to use. Um, so you don't have to follow it exactly, but it's a good guideline. So it doesn't have to be like perfectly in the center of the line. You see, like he just lined up one part of it at the very top, and then this is off. But it makes the composition, you see how it's following the grid. Even the windmill house here is kind of centered. This one not so. I mean, it's on the same line, but it's still got up here, but it's filling out the boxes pretty much. So all your eyes are like going from wow. And then you have the golden rectangle, which is very similar. It's just squished more into the middle. Um, you see these are even, and this is kind of squished. You can see they put the color in the little window, and
Yeah,
then you
it
got
certainly hurts my
yeah,
eyes.
yeah. So it depends on what kind of photo you're going for. It depends on if you want to use a thinner middle or if you want to use an even box. I say golden ratio is probably the best one to follow. Um, Golden Triangle, this one's, I found out I follow a lot without knowing because in one of my programs you can put this line over the image to see the composition, and a lot of my photos line up with this shape apparently. But this is pretty useful too. It's pretty much just saying you want to have stuff going on in each of the squares, but you want to position them in a certain way. You want this thing to be over here, you want this thing to be on the top, but you want a little bit of something to be going on in each one. And then also a lot of the times if I'm doing like a mountain or like an angled shot, whether it's a ring, I'll use this line to kind of line it up so it'll follow that line and then just balance everything on top of it accordingly. So if that's like the horizon, right? I'd maybe put it a little bit above or below it, and have, just follow it as a guideline. It's not like it has to be on the line, it's just for a guideline. And then the most important one is the Fibonacci spiral, the golden spiral. Um, if you're not familiar with Fibonacci sequence, I suggest looking that up. It's very interesting, but it's pretty much a organized pattern, like a mathematical pattern that's shaped into a spiral that's going to lead the subject. The main subject should be here, and then it'll open up. So that's probably the most common one or most talked about. But I like rule of thirds. This one is very good to use. Um, that's about it. Symmetry, pretty basic. Um, oh, odd number of things. It's just other composition. Yeah. Contrast. Now, contrast plays into whether or not you're in a dark side or light side of a planet or in a shadow, I would say. The lighting in Elite Dangerous is very wonky, so I wouldn't really focus too much on like, oh, how can I get the lighting better? Or I want to get the lighting just like this. It might not even, make that effect, or it might not even do what you want it to do because the lighting is so weird. And you're gonna be like, well, I don't understand. This moon is closest to this star. Why is the light source not coming from it? Well, that's just how the game works. Um, Framing is very important. Framing you can use with zooming. You could also use with positioning. Do you want to have your commander in the shot? You want to have your ship in the shot? Do you want to have the background planet or moon in the shot? You want to have the state? Like what do you want in the frame? And then it's a matter of just putting it all in there and not missing out on anything, and then following the whole composition. Um, this one's very popular. You see a lot the little man with the big scenery. It's good balance because it gives you kind of a, good perspective of how big everything is there. Because without the man, you can kind of see, okay, big mountains, but now you see the person there. Whoa, okay, it was really big. I like to do that a lot with my ship and my commander because space is really big. And I don't want all the focus to be on the commander. I kind of want it to be like, oh, all the focus is on this, and then they find the commander later. Um, Repetition, rhythm. This is just like themes and flow. Um, Depth of field that we'll touch on with the zoom tool. the zoom blur tool in game. Very cool effect when you understand what it's doing and how to use it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'll go ahead and link this in the chat right now so that you guys can go over it. It's a long read, but it's very informative. You're gonna read things that you probably never heard of before. Great write up. So I recommend reading that when you have time. All right, so now let's hop in game. All right, so I'm gonna try to show you framing. So you'll see we're at a planetary nebula. We're pretty close to it. It looks like this. I'm in the core, so be careful. I should probably do this. That's better. So if you're ever in the game and you see something like this in the distance, like in your skybox, it's more than likely one of these things. If you
nebulas.
Yeah, if you filter the map mode to like toggle all the stars off so they're not in your way, it's very easy to find them. But you'll first notice them when you're flying around. So we want to take a picture of this thing, but we want to take a picture of the outside of it, right? So what you're gonna want to do is look for stars around it that you can visit that might get a good view. So we're currently at this one. We're very close to it, and it's giving us this view, which doesn't look like the double circle because of the angle that we're looking at it as. But you can see that I'm not getting it all in my frame, and that's without even touching the zoom. Um, it's at 2.3 is going to be the stock zoom. It goes all the way up to 4, and it goes as far back as 0. Um, 2.3 is kind of the balance point for them, but it's still warping out. If you want no warp effect at all, you're going to want to go full to 4. You'll get absolutely no warp effect at all. Now, you can't really tell with the eyes, but if you want a natural unwarped photo, you just want to do full zoom. So with full zoom here, we're getting a cropped part of it, which can make for a good photo if you want a good backdrop. So you can pick and choose and just go around it like this. But we want the whole thing. So if we want the whole thing, we're going to be like this, and we're at 0.8, which is too much of a warp for me. So what we want is we're going to jump to the next system and see what it looks like from there. And you could do this with the bigger nebula as well, as you're approaching. And you'll notice that flying around the nebula will also make it look different. So the bluish, pinkish one, it's not very common. That one can be like fainted color from a certain angle, but then you go around the other side and it's like really saturated. So it depends on the angle. Oh, a giant. This is a giant star. All right, so now we're gonna find that nebula. Probably hiding behind the giant. Nope, right in front of us. All right, so there it is. So we went way too far. That's full zoom, but that's good because now we can approach it slower. So what you want to do? Go back to Gal map and just find the nebula, which is right here, and we're just gonna go a little bit closer. So let's go about a little bit less than half. Let's go about half. Let's go like right here. Now, a lot of the times you are going to have to be patient with taking screenshots if you're trying to like take a certain one or try to frame it, perfectly or get a full zoom, no warp effect. Um, that's entirely up to you with how much time you want to spend taking a screenshot. Um, if you want to wait on the body for like a day or two because the orbit's going to line up, stuff like that. So could be worth it sometimes. All right, so now we see it again. All right, a little bit better. We can go much closer. So now I know, now I have an idea of how much distance I can be behind it. So I can get much closer to it. Oh, by the way. So I'm gonna try like right about here. I think it's anywhere from 10 to like 30 or 10 to 25 light years out from it. I'd say it's like a good rule of thumb, like about 20. Start at like 20. And hopefully this system has a gas giant with a ring. If not, I have one. All right, there it is. That's much better. I can get even closer. But the point is that like, you know, you're gonna want to spend some time positioning your commander to get the shot that you want. So now with taking shots like this, you'll see that we're in super cruise and we're full zoom. And say we're happy with that. We like that. We want to center it. Now you'll see on the left and the right, you'll see these little streak lines going by. That's from your ship flying. Let me pull it up in the view. So the faster I go in super cruise, the more lines appear. To get rid of that effect is to drop out completely, or you just turn your ship backwards. See, they went away. I just slowed down, and now I'm gonna throttle all the way up. No lines. But the second I start going back towards it, see, now they come back. It's a little trick if you don't want to drop out all the time. Dropping out won't give you those effects at all, but I think just facing your ship in reverse won't do it either. So that's a good little trick. Um, yeah, some of the tricks I like to do is the ship controls and the stabilizer.
Yeah.
So the the ship controls are gonna let me take control of the ship where I can control. Right now I'm just positioning. But then the stabilizer is going to allow me to rotate the ship without the camera moving with it. And I use this a lot for lining up my photos, like you'll see now. So I still have control of my ship, so I can throttle all the way down. I can hear it, and now I can reposition myself to fly to that gas giant. You could literally play the whole game like this. I mean, the more you fly in this, the more comfortable you'll get. But if you have a perfect frame, like on approach, like what I'm doing now, um, probably the best way to go about getting your best frame. And you could literally just do it by flying. So we want to get the gas giant with all of its ring in the shot. So what I like to do is I either do this method on approach, or you just fly all the way to it. Or close, at least close to it. Let's say we want a straight on shot, right? Like a CD looking shot. So what I'll do is I'll find the very top, like the very North Pole. I'll try to get it in the center of my screen as best as possible. Just line it up like that. And then once I'm here, I'm gonna throttle down. Okay, that's zoomed in all the way. So what I want is I want the whole ring in the shot. So now I can just take my ship, whether in this view or you can back out, and I can just toggle my ship controls, put the stabilizer off, just rotate my ship 180, and then start flying away from it. Now, what I like to do, I don't like doing it this way, and I'll show you why. Now I'm gonna see how close I can get, but I would be like that, and now I'll just start flying away. I haven't touched the camera controls at all. We're just now moving in space to get everything in the frame. So see how I'm not perfectly lined up. So if I get out of here, I'm gonna use the small radar with the dot that shows the position next
And
to
don't
your
forget
feet.
to turn on the orbit lines.
Huh?
Yeah, I saw that you have the orbit lines on, so turn them off.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good rule of thumb when you're taking screenshots, just to double check the orbit lines, because sometimes they'll be hiding and they'll be on, but you don't know it.
Yeah, some
Yeah,
they tend to hide when the camera is close to the ship.
yeah,
And sometimes when I had the opportunity to take a good photo, the orbit lines ruined everything.
yeah, yeah. Especially if you have the mod like I do, your orbit lines are going to look very different.
Yeah,
So
I
mine,
mine are red, so I can
yeah,
barely see them sometimes.
yeah, mine are like really faint. I don't even see them right now. But all right, so you see the black dot in my little radar reticle with the little plus sign? I want to line that up right in the center, right? As close as I can, because now I'm perfectly 180'd. Now, when it's lit up, that means that it's in view. When it's dark like this, that means you're facing away from it. So you just double check. Yep, this is the shot we want, but we don't want it with the zoom. We want full zoom. So I'm full zoom. I'm gonna try to line it up the best I can. Okay, that's pretty good. Also rule of thumb, I'm on controller. You see how hard it is for me to move left and right? If you just take control of your ship and yaw, it's much, much smoother, much smaller. So that's usually what I do when I'm positioning is use the ship's yaw instead of the custom. But I'm on controller, so that won't apply to all of you. All right, that's pretty good. So now we're gonna start flying away from it slowly. I like to set my throttle and super cruise at like 25 and 50, and 75. So this is 25 right now, and we're just gonna keep going until we get it all in view. Almost there, so start slowing down. All right, it's a little off center. A little bit more. All right, that's pretty good. So now I could take a screenshot right now just like this, and I can do a high res, which will look like this. I'll do a regular F10, and I'll do a steam. All right, but now you're pretty much perfectly, like you're fully zoomed in, and that's going to be the clearest image possible that the game can give you. Um, Even clearer would be to drop out and do the same thing. So you really can't tell that much of a difference. I mean, you'd have to really have like really good specs to see, oh, he took this out of Super Cruise. He took this in Super Cruise. But the biggest thing you'll find out is that you'll see the lines if it's taken in Super Cruise. So that's a good method for lining up and framing stuff that's like really big. Um, you could also do ring shots as well. If you go inside the ring and then get a photo of it. Um, but yeah, that's a good that's one of the things that I do when I'm trying to frame shots or like trying to get something in shot is I'll on approach I'll kind of see what it's looking like or what I want to have, and then I'll start lining it up as I'm flying to it, or I'll just fly to it and then do the flyaway method. So that's a good trick to use or a good method to use. If you're on the body now, you got a moon. Yes, you do. So now the pictures on the surface. It all depends on what you're going for. Do you want a landscape shot? Do you want a more selfie shot? Do you want an SRV action shot? Um, you just gotta decide what you want to go for, and then find the right location for it. Oh, good. Look at that. Planetary nebula right behind it. So just from flying and seeing that, me personally, I would change course, go back because I have an idea. And I'm gonna put this right here. I'm gonna stop. I'm going to camera view. Look at that. It just so happens to be lined up too, right? So with the Super Cruise shot, you'll see the lines in it, but that's all right. I'm not really too concerned about it. See that long line in the middle? If I don't want that, drop out. I'll reposition my ship just for if I have to reposition anything, and then I'll do the same thing. So now you get no lines, you get a clearer shot of it. You could also move your ship. See, I'm yawing, or I'm rotating right now. That's good, like that. Boom. So now I have one in Super Cruise that'll have the artifacts and one without it that won't have the artifacts. So I can pick and choose later as I'm going through them. Now while I'm here, I can also bring my ship into view if I wanted to, right? And I can position him accordingly. So I would take control of the ship, turn the stabilizer off so it doesn't move the whole camera. And now I can move my ship into the position that I want it to. And then I can move him back, forth. I noticed with the lights on the back of ships, it'll change depending on how far. So you see the orange parts. Now they disappear, but I still have the blue. And now blue disappears. But since I'm in normal space, you can see the thrusters. In Super Cruise, you can't see that. So if you want that effect, you can start flying a little bit and get the thrusters in action, you know. So it's all personal preference. But using this, I'm never gonna touch my camera view because I'm happy with the frame. I'm only gonna mess with the position of my ship. So you can do this too. Um, you could also do. You could also. Oh, see, look, the stabilizer's not on, and I move my ship. See, so you want to be careful with that. A lot of the popular shots are like this when they're like straight on and they're just zooming. So to do this, you would just line it up, right? Move them back a little bit like this. And now I'm gonna put the um, detached camera setting. So make sure you have that setting toggled because that's gonna allow the ship to just fly freely. You'll see what I mean. See? So now I can capture a shot right now if I wanted to, you know? So you can take screenshots that way, action shots with your ship flying and whatnot. That's the easiest way that I find about going about like, positioning your ship into the view without changing, the background at all. Um, but yeah, so just seeing that out of the corner of my eye with the nebula gave me an idea for this shot. So I stopped, and I took the shot. Now we go on about our business. That's pretty much how it goes. You're not really like looking for a certain screenshot all the time. You're just flying around, you see something, you're like, oh, that looks nice. Now for on surface shots, it's all about the approach too. The way that you approach the body is usually the perspective that you want to see. So if this was like a co-orbiting close orbit, moon or whatever, and it was like right back there, I'd kind of position it differently to get that in view instead of the gas giant. But it's all about your approach. We're gonna try to get the gas giant in the shot. When you're flying down and trying to get the the gas giant in view, it's good to overcompensate because right now I'm still 60 kilometers above the surface. So if I drop right now, that's gonna fall a lot. It might go behind the moon. So I'm just gonna play it safe and go a little bit out more, especially since I see the planetary nebula. So I'll just stay right above drop and I'll just keep orbital cruising. Benefit of the ASP is this window underneath to view from. I'm just gonna go a little bit further. Yeah, you want to leave some room in between the horizon and the actual object. A little bit further. All right, let's try this. So now I could start looking for terrain features. I could have been doing that before. They all look pretty much the same, but I see some white that it looks much cooler than this red. So I'm gonna try to fly to that. And now look, we have it in view. See? Just barely. I mean, the planetary nebula is going to disappear a little bit, but if that's the case, you can either just go back up in a super cruise, fly a little bit further that way, if it bugs you that much, until it doesn't hide. So now that we got it in view, we're going to go land somewhere, kind of with a slope, because you see how the gas giant is kind of above us. We want to get an angled shot. If we do a flat on shot, we're going to cut off the gas giant. So this looks pretty good right here. This little slant. Finding parking spots is one of the annoying parts of the game. If you auto dock it, solves that. All right. Yeah, see what I mean? It ain't gonna land here. Yep, knew it. All right, when that happens, what I do is I just go here. I don't play that shit. All right. So now we're on the surface. If you go to your camera view in the ship, you're much more limited than on foot. The zoom doesn't go as far back. Your range is kind of limited. So this is full zoom. This is as far as I can go in my ship. But as soon as I get on foot, now look it. It's this is full zoom, but if I were to take my commander now and start running, like he's gonna move with me. Or against me if I run away. See? So I use this as a trick to like frame stuff in if you want your commander to be smallest with max zoom. And then you can just, come back and it's gonna stay. But on foot you're gonna have much wider view. And on foot it's not gonna look as warped. So this is just normal without any zoom. Looks pretty normal. It doesn't really look warped, right? But it's not giving you the true view. This is your true view on foot. See? See the difference? Huge difference. So about 2.3, 2.4. That was before. And full zoom. So you get a way different perspective from using the zoom feature. Not zooming in and leaving it stock is fine in some cases, but if you really want to achieve the like what did it look like while you were there, then you want to go full zoom. Now, not all the time is full zoom gonna fit like this case. If that's the case, you can slowly, back out to where you still get the same effect, but it's not like what it was when you first pulled it out, where like that. It's kind of now giving you a better perspective of wow, this thing's really close, it's really big. So now once you get the view that you want in the background, then I start messing with the foreground, and you can do anything here. You can put your ship in view. You can put your SRV in view. You can take control of your commander the same way, just like in your ship. And then you can do the same thing where you toggle the detached camera, and that'll let you run around freely while not changing the background. You even jump, use your jetpack. You can throw a grenade. You can do a lot of cool creative things with this. You could also do emotes. Um, I don't know if you can like use your panel like recall your ship. I'm pretty sure if you knew the buttons, you could probably do it. But from here now, I can now position my character however I want, right? And I could even have him
I do want to
moving.
say something about that real quick. You
Yeah.
can dismiss your ship if you what is it? If you wave at it, I think.
Oh
In the
yeah.
camera suite. So uh not speaking from experience, of course, but do not wave on top of your ship while you're taking a picture in the camera suite, because that can lead to some interesting
Yep. There it
results.
goes.
Yep, goodbye. Yeah, so just be careful. That's the only one that can really screw up your whole life if you do that in the camera suite.
Yeah. Clapping will also enable the lights if you're in front of it. Same with your SRV. If you guys didn't know that. Another trick you can do is getting on a rock, like an edge, like this, something that has a raised surface. And I'll go back into the camera suite. Now, I technically start all my screenshots from this view. However, if you want to go for a certain effect, like with what I'm going for now, you can use one of these, like an offset. So what the offset will do is it'll give you a good starting point to kind of do something like this. Now this is a small rock, but with the rock effect, you can now achieve an effect of this where it's like you're on the edge. So if I just put them right here, now it looks like I'm just viewing it. Well, this is a bad idea, but it'll hide the rest of the terrain, and now it'll look like you're, on the top of the very tip of the moon looking right at it. So that's another effect you can go for. Um, it's also a good effect for landscape shots. If you were to take, say, this terrain, right? And you want your commander to be in the shot, you can use one of these things to kind of create like a little pedestal, whatever, for him. Or you could just move back onto the ground, approaching it, whatever. So on foot, this is pretty much like my go-to. It's just lining up my background and then worrying about my commander if I want him in the shot afterwards. Um, yeah. And then as far as like close ring proximities or objects that are really close, with the zoom, you you just have to find the right position and fly around, messing around with the camera as you're flying to kind of see what you're gonna see in the shot, you know, and then just decide, okay, I like that view, I want to go for that, and then just try to position yourself accordingly. Um, the other thing now is depth of field. So depth of field is going to allow you access. So we'll start with this right here. We'll do like that. Not the best, but it'll work. Okay, so depth of field needs to be on in your graphics, which is under quality, right here. There's medium and high. I don't know the difference between the two. I just leave it on high. Now, if you're not going to be using this setting, you could turn it off if you don't like that setting in game. What it's going to do is it's going to slightly blur the very distant objects and things in view. And then you can enable it whenever you want to take a screenshot that has the effect. So as long as this is enabled, you'll have this option. Oh, wrong button. You see the zoom blur toggle at the top with the X button? That is the option that you're gonna want to mess with when you're doing the depth of field stuff. So you want a toggle button that's gonna toggle it on and off. So right now I'm in the zoom. Now I'm in the focus blur. I got focus on the left and blur on the right. You are gonna set buttons for each one. Now the focus is going to go very slow and gradual. This is me holding it down. It speeds up at the longer you hold it. But this goes all the way to 1,000. And then once you're at 1,000, the same thing. You can go by 0.1s. It's a little crazy, but the effect does work. And I have a video of it showing the distance that it's covering, like how much, like in steps, what it's doing. But pretty much you're gonna want to leave this as 0. Sorry, it's gonna take some time. Because that's gonna start pretty much where your camera is, and then start moving outwards from it. I think the M is for meters. All right, so we're at 0 meters. Now we're not gonna see any effect because we have no blur on the right. Now the blur could be toggled on and off. What the fuck? That ain't right. That shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, that shouldn't be doing that. That's a bug. Yeah, it's not blurring, and it's only blurring one setting. What the hell? So normally you would get slight adjustments leading up to this, but it seems as if it's broken at the moment because the first adjustment is giving me max. But even so, so the focus, so now with the focus, you're gonna see, but if I change the blur, it shouldn't. Oh, there we go. Oh, you're right. My bad. Yeah, I never had that happen before though. It usually doesn't do that. Usually I see this as 0. Like this right here, I would see as 0. Huh. All right. But anyway, so you want to go for a little exaggerated blur effect to get a idea of where your focus is. So right now you can see it's right behind my commander's feet. And now we're gonna keep going until it goes to my commander, which is right there. Okay, so now my commander's in focus, and then you can see the background is out of focus. More effect of that would be this, see? So the more aggressive you go with this, the more of like the weird effect around. It's like it's hard to describe. See like the weird like effect it's creating around him, the outline. So the more blur you have, the more of that effect you're gonna see. The less, see, it kind of goes away. But this can enhance your photo from a basic photo to a wow, that's a really good photo. Just by using the depth of field, you know. So you can be very creative with this. A good use of it is with exobiology. However, when doing exobiology, you gotta be careful because high reses will kind of mess up the photo. It'll create these jagged edges and artifacts. So it's a good rule of thumb, like when you're taking atmosphere shots or exobiology shots, to just take a normal f10. Um, and then with this effect, you can keep the effect and then reposition. So if you like this blur effect, but you don't like the layout, you can just always move it accordingly. Like say like this. And then now I'll just take my commander and I'll bring him into view. Ta-da! So that's pretty much all there is to it. And if you want to do an action shot, you just have to make sure you have your hands in a position where you can move your commander and do like the capture screenshot at the same time. So while I'm moving, I can capture screenshots, you know, and then you can do, see, it'll capture at that moment. So yeah, but those are just the basic tools for creating more creative shots, or more like, oh, that looks interesting, you know, or I want to make more interesting shots, you know, kind of level up. The zoom blur is very useful for that. You don't ever want to really zoom blur out, or like blur out something that is your main POI of the image, you know. The whole premise is to capture that. So you'd want to blur everything around that instead, you know. But but yeah, that's about all I can think of. Another topic would be black hole lensing, but there's so much you can do with that would be its own topic on its own. But like as far as the screenshot, what's it called? The the saving tool thing in EDJP or EDD, where it compresses them and formats them for you.
Oh yeah, I use EDJP. Just
Okay.
turns it into a PNG and deletes the original BMP.
Yeah, so that's good to use or set up if you're taking a lot of images, especially high res. I had to have that set up before, but now I just kind of look through them as I take them, so I'm deleting them as I go. But yeah, I was running out of hard drive space like
Yeah,
that like same day. Because I think a high res shot is
yeah, almost.
172,000 kilobytes. Yeah, so 168 megs. But what the conversion tool will do is it'll crop it down to a 1440 or 1080 resolution and convert it from BMP to PNG or JPEG. And then it also remove, or if you decide to keep the original on your computer. So either find a like a Photoshop or like GIMP program for free that has the ratio tool that you can add on like as a layer, and then just import it into that program and enable that overlay, and then see how well your photo composition lines up with the rule of thirds or the golden spiral or the diagonal, you know? Um, or you can have it just in the back of your head, or just as you're taking the shot, just think of the lines or visually see them and try to line it up accordingly. But yeah, if you're not sure and you're like, oh, how would I know if it's framed right? You would do it afterwards, because there's no program that I know of, at least, that can overlay the ratio or the rule of third lines on top of your monitor. That would be cool. If anyone does know about that, let me know, because I've been looking for that. But yeah, that's pretty much
I
it for
wonder if you
screenshots.
might want to suggest that to Matt G. You know, he does all sorts of overlays. I bet that would be like trivial for him.
Hmm. What? Yeah, but then what I'm wondering is like if it's out of game, the overlay is gonna stay on the screen no matter
Well,
what you
I
do. I
mean, we
mean, I
know
guess
that
it's
he can use. I don't know if EDJP only
yeah.
understands that the FSS is opening from the journal, but you could at least. I mean, it could certainly be on a hotkey. I would ask
Yeah,
him
hold
about
on,
it.
let's see.
If that's something that you really want, I bet that's something he could add into
I
EDJP.
mean, it's something that I would make use of and that I would use while taking script, because I've just noticed, like,
Yeah,
while looking all over all the composition stuff, that was the one thing I wanted to do, was I
he
wanted
could
to have
probably
an overlay.
even give you like he could do the golden spiral and the rule of thirds and cycle through them. I yeah, that doesn't sound very hard.
Yeah, that would be sick. Um, I have Lightroom up. I can kind of show you what I mean by the golden ratio. In my crop tool, I have these. So that's a different one. It's a diamond, center, the triangle one. See how it's following the triangle? It's not perfect, but it's following it. So this is what I mean when you have it in the back of your head. You're not literally putting the lines up and following it verbatim. You're kind of just using it as a tool, as like a guideline, as a reference. Um, yeah, golden spiral you can only see on this shot. Let me see another one. Okay, see, it's not perfect, but it's close. There's triangle and golden ratio. So you could just test it like this if you wanted to. I never use the lines as I'm taking shots. I'm just thinking about it in the back of my head. So, but yeah, if you want to talk to Matt G about that, um, Julian, I would if it's gonna be something easy for him to do, I would say yeah, this would be very useful.
Sure, I can ask him.
Just a simple little tool that lets you enable it. Like my monitor does it. Like if I hold a certain key and like I want to snap my
Uh-huh.
windows, like yeah, something like that, you know? Something basic. Yeah, that would be cool. I just did.
Yeah, I'll see what
I
he
wouldn't
says.
know where to start. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had for screenshots. It's not really that complicated. It's just the more that you do it, the better you'll get. Trust me. I didn't all my early screenshots never look like they do now. So as you take more and you become more familiar with the game and the tool, you will gradually get better. As
Yeah,
long
I
as
can
you,
definitely say now
yeah.
that now that I've taken pictures for a while, I can I can land and get out of my ship and just look around and just instantly realize, oh my God, I've stumbled across a great photo.
Oh yeah.
Just being able to kind of internalize those compositional modes, primarily the rule of thirds or the golden ratio, and just to kind of when you look out there, just walking around doing exobio or whatever, you'll look around and go, oh yep, I found something. You can get in the photo mode and tweak it, move it around a little bit, and blammo.
Yep. Yeah, so many times I was doing ExoBio and I'd be on like my first or second sample and I would see that there were two other varieties nearby and they were kind of like on like a little ledge and the sun was right behind it with a perfect like, shadow cast like on approaching that, I'm like, wow, this would make for a great screenshot. So at that time you just go right into the screenshot tool and you go about taking the screenshot. It's not like I was looking for it. It just I just caught it at that time. Same thing with the planetary nebula and that gas giant earlier. It's that you'll see stuff as you're playing the game, and it's a matter of, oh, that looks awesome. I wanna capture that to where you'll go and take the screenshot of it, or you'll see like a certain orbit or a certain color, or I don't know, formation. So, but yeah, there's screenshots that like I want to achieve, but are very difficult too. Like I want to get a shot from boosting inside a neutron cone, but I want it to be like perfect. I want it to be a perfect circle in the center of the screen, like that cone effect that you see
Yeah,
sometimes. I want to
that
get that in a
will
high
be very
res.
hard.
Yeah. So I've tried so many times. I've had endless amounts of photos I had to go through, but yeah, it seems like it's just right place, right moment, and it'll
I
happen.
I think that reminds me of something else that I think we should say in this, and that is don't don't not take a shot because you think it's going to be shit. It might be
Oh,
shit, but
if it's
you
shit, just don't share it. Still take it.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
The number of shit pictures that I take or that
Oh
DKO
yeah.
takes is
Oh yeah.
large, and you the you might be looking at those pictures later going, oh, wait a minute, if I just, if I zoomed in a little more, or if I tilted the camera, oh no, the horizon was not level with the screen. You can look
Yeah.
back at them and learn from your own pictures. So
Yep.
take the picture.
Yep. And also don't be afraid to take multiple pictures of the same thing, just with different variations. So
Oh yeah, that's really important.
so what I do is I'll always if I'm photographing stellar objects and I'm in Super Cruise in my ship, I will make sure that I take the screenshot framed without my ship. So all the objects I want in the shot without my ship, I'll take that shot. So now it's just a normal space shot. Then I put my ship into the shot, and then I'll go and take screenshots accordingly to that. So if I ever wanted to share it as a POI to GEC or something, now I have a shot without my ship and a shot with it. So without the ship in the shot, it makes it look just like, more professional or just more standard. Like this was captured just to display the
A
the
landscape
stellar
or a POI
bodies.
or something.
The
Yeah.
ship in the shot shows or tells me that you wanted the ship to be noticed. And if the ship is in your shot in all your photos, and I've seen 10 of them already. I already know what ship you fly, So it's like if that's the theme you want to go for, it's the theme. I do it a lot when I'm sharing on Discord just as like a little watermark thing, just like, okay, this is my shot. But if I'm sharing it to like a site or like if it's a POI, the ship is not important, the SRV is not important, the commander is not important, unless the commander is making use of perspective, showing you perspective. But other than that, like I'll always take it without anything in there, and then go in and take my fun ones with whatever I want going on. So that way I just
It's
have
probably
them, you know.
useful for me to take each of those and then decide that I like the one without my commander or
Yeah,
without my ship better.
yeah. Sometimes,
So
yeah,
yes, it's really nice. It's useful to take both of them.
yep,
Sometimes you just realize that, you know,
yep,
having a ship in it makes it too busy, or it, you know, takes away from the vista that you're trying to capture.
yep. Oh, another thing, last thing is when you're taking screenshots, don't think like, oh, I'm just gonna copy the same screenshot that so and so took because I like it a lot. It looks cool. So I'm just gonna take all my screenshots that way. Um, Try to be creative, like try to think outside of the box. One thing that I enjoy doing the most is trying to take screenshots of certain things that kind of are different or out of the ordinary. Whether it's like minimal or the position of the stars is something that you haven't seen before, you know? Like I'm always trying to keep it interesting. I'm always trying to look for an interesting shot. Most of the times I want people to look at a shot and be like, "Whoa, he took that in elite," or "Whoa, where is that? What's going on there?" Like, you know, that kind of thing. And you can achieve that so many different ways. I'm still finding new ways to do it in the game. Um, just by, you know, flying by a neutron and putting the neutron in view where you're face on with the cone. It creates a beautiful effect, a spiral effect. You know, there's so many little things like that that you can discover as you're flying around, whether it's something in a station even, you know. So just always keep your eye out for like, you know, good opportunities or like things out of the ordinary that, oh, this would be an interesting shot, not just, oh, I haven't took a screenshot in a while. Let me go find a good one to replicate, you know, or not just do your own thing, take your own photos, and over time you'll develop a style, you know, of your own. So, but that's one of the main things I do in this game. So, like as far as anything else, I'm really don't excel at it. It's just exploring and pictures.
Nice.
But
Thanks.
yeah,